guys, it's Tundrum here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my mono red Torban aggro commander deck. This deck is super solid, it's cheap to build, fun to play, gives fast gameplay and does not need insane skill to pilot. This video will be split into 4 sections: burn spells, creatures, utility, and card advantage, and the mana base. And I will, just to save time, I'll show cards in lots of 6. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. First up, let's look at the commander, Torban. What he reads, he's 4 mana, mono red commander, 2/4 legendary creature dwarf. But really what makes him good is he reads, if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. This is massive. This turns all your 1 damage into 3. If you have swarms of tokens, it's just GG. Really powerful. So, yep, he's our commander. So first up, on the burn section, we have Shock. It's a solid burn spell. 1 mana, just gets 2 damage in. Solid card. Lava Spike. It hits a player for 3 damage. Not as good as commander as it would be in other formats, but still solid. Skewer the Critics is really good. It can get up to 5 damage. If you have Torban, it has the potential to be a 1 mana lightning bolt pretty much. Lava Dart, really solid when you have Thorban, because this is just 2 mana, second mounted to deal 6 damage, which is really good, to 2 targets, or the same if you want. Solid card. Both Searing Blaze and Searing Blood are really solid removal, destroying a creature and hitting a player for a good hunk of damage. Next up we got Thunderous Wrath. This can be a mega bomb if you draw it in the early turns, and even late game when you have Thorban. 6 mana for 7 damage isn't that bad of a rate, but 1 mana for the 5 or 7 damage is busted. Abrade, it's insane removal. It can either get rid of a creature or destroy an artifact, which is at instant speed really good. Lightning Bolt, the best burn spell ever. 1 mana for 3 damage. Insane card. Chain Lightning, it's 1 mana for 3 damage. It's pretty solid. It does have that downside of the copy if your opponent is playing red, but you could also theoretically team up with someone to take out another threat. Skullcrack, really good card. You cast this in response to your opponent going to gain life, and then you hit them with damage, and they just don't get the life. Lightning Strike, just lightning bolt for twice as much. It's still a really good card though. Next up we've got Magma Jet. It's 2 mana for 2 damage, which is really average, but it does let you scry 2, which makes it become quite a good card. Fiery Temper, it's a solid card. It can turn your opponent into making you discard a card into a cheap burn spell and card advantage. Grape Shot, this can be insane if you have Torban on. This is just like 2 mana, and you can just copy it even just 4 or 5 times. It's 15-20 damage coming at them. Chandra's Pyrohelix, this doesn't seem very good, but if you have Torban, it deals 3 damage to 2 targets, which is great for 2 mana. Collective Defiance, insane card. It can hurt creatures, hit players, make you swap your hand out. There's a lot of value and options for 1 card. Price of Progress, this is insane if your enemy is running like 3 or 4 or 5 colours, and then mainly just non-basics. It can hit them for 10, 12, or sometimes like up to 20 damage. It does hit all players, but we don't really care because we aren't running really any non-basics, only 2 or 3. Super good card. Now we move on to creatures. First up, both Monastery Swiftspear and Skull Scar Mage, are great 1-drop creatures that can become massive with some help. Dragon Master Outcast just wins you the game if it sticks around for a few turns after you have 5 or 6 lands. Viashino Pyromancer hits your enemy for damage and gets you a 2/1. Great value there. Chandra's Spitfire has potential to become huge and 1-hit your opponent. Goblin Chain Whirler is insane if you have Torban, because this is just 3 mana 3/3, which is already good, and then it hits each opponent for free and all their creatures for free. This is insanely powerful if you have Torban. Even by itself it's good. Next up we've got Fantastical Firebrand. This card is a solid 1-drop, swings in for damage early and you can sack it later for 1 or 3 damage. Urabrask, I think this guy is underrated. A lot of people say he's the worst of the Praetors. He gives all your creatures haste and all your enemies' creatures into tap, lowers the enemy's defenses and ups your offensive, really solid, and a 4/4 body. Bone Crusher Giant, It's a good burn spell early on and becomes a big creature later. Runaway Steamkin can get big enough and generate good mana. It's a solid card. Hell Rider is busted. This card just massacres your enemy with Torban, hitting with swings of 30, 40, 50. Sometimes if you have enough creatures, even 60 or 70 damage in one swing of this card, because each of your creatures hits them for free. Really good. Foundry Street Denizen can get massive for little cost. Next up we have Anger. Anger's like really average, but it has potential to be quite good. If it's in your graveyard, it gives all your guys haste, and it is a 4 mana 2/2 body with haste. Young Pyromancer, Beetleback Chief, Dragon Fodder, and Hordling Outburst all give you heaps of bodies for their mana cost, which goes super well with Torban. Charmbreaker Devils can get massive and returns your burn spells back to your hand. Combat Celebrant to give you extra attack steps. Terran Mueller can get massive really quick. Hamwell Garrison gets you heaps of bodies and melds into a giant Eldrazi if you have the other half, which we'll show later in the video. Mog War Marshal gives you lots of bodies for 2 mana. Harshmentor can really hit your opponents for a lot in Commander with all the activated abilities. Rampaging Ferocidon to hit your opponents for millions if you have Torban and stop them from gaining life. Next up we have Firebrand Archer. This is really good with Torban, making all your instants and sorceries hit your opponent for lots of damage. Zozu the Punisher can really hurt your opponents for millions if you have Torban, and even by itself it's a really good damage source. Frost is an insane god and offers so much value for its cost. Neheb the Eternal, solid card that generates lots of mana. Chandra Fire of Kaladesh to really hurt your opponents if you have Torban, and it can easily flip into a solid Planeswalker. Bedlam Reveler, it's a busted bomb that refreshes your hand, can often be cast for cheap, has a solid body and has prowess. Really good. Now we're on to the utility and card advantage section. First up, we've got Light Up the Stage. Solid card advantage if you've got Spectacle. Chandra can deal high damage to your opponents and get you cards off the top of your deck. Experimental Frenzy can just let you go off and deal bazillions to your enemies. Solemn Sim, auto include. Ceremonious Reunion can filter your cards nicely, and Act on Impulse gets you a solid amount of cards that you can play this turn. Next up we got Goblin Assault. This gets you heaps of tokens to massacre your enemy with Torban. Chandra Acolyte of Flame, also busted with Torban with the tokens it makes, and it can recast old spells. Sweltering Suns, this doesn't look that good, but when you have Torban it hits your enemy's board for 5 and yours for only 3 because of Torban's ability, plus it has cycling. Chaos Warp, one of Red's only permanent instant removal. It's not an amazing card, but it's solid because it's in red. Stranglehold shuts down heaps of enemy shenanigans. This will really have them raging. Fiery Confluence can be insane with Torban, hitting them for millions of damage. It's an insane card, honestly. It should go in any Red Commander deck. Next up, we've got Blasphemous Act. It essentially just says destroy all creatures, and it can get super cheap. Soul Ring is also an auto-include. Vandal Blast can destroy all the enemy artifacts. Impact Tremors gets busted with Torban and hits them for millions. Seize the Day can get you 2 extra combat steps and let you win the game out of nowhere. And finally in this section, Gratuitous Violence doubles all our damage, letting our damage just get out of hand. Now last but not least, the mana base. We're running 31 mountains. I suggest running a Castle Emperor, it's just an upgraded mountain. Forgotten Cave, you can cycle this away late game if you don't want it. And Hamwer Battlements, which melds with Hamwer Garrison and gives you a giant Eldrazi, and you can give your creatures haste with it. Okay, so that was pretty much my list, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And if you found this video useful and want to see more from me, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, see ya.